So today's video is all about talking about our latest retro gaming coffee table. I'm quite proud of this. It's turned out quite a lot better than the original coffee table we done. That was quite a long time ago now. So there's a big difference between this one and that one. We're using the exact same table, exact same. It's just a plywood table really. It's got a hollow core, which makes it really easy to put all the stuff in, so the screen sits nice. There's no extra cutting to do. All we have to do is cut the space for the screen. The screen sits inside the hollow space, which is already built into the table. And yeah, so really dead easy. If you were going for a solid wooden table, things would be a lot harder. You would have to do a lot more cutting. And yeah, things would probably be just a little bit more difficult, especially if you don't have the tools. Whereas we don't have the tools, we're kind of new to this. So we opted for the hollow table, made things a bit easier. As well as that, we added this glass looking top. It's not actually glass, it's designed to look like glass. It's called acryl glass. It's basically clear cast acrylic. And yeah, it really looks nice. If you are planning on making a build and you want to use a material like this, just make sure whatever company you're going for, they polish the edges for you. As well as that, ensure that they add the screw holes. These are countersunk, and yeah, just make sure you're doing that. Otherwise, your edges are going to be all jagged because they're just normally cut with a saw of some type. So yeah, they do need to be polished on the sides to make it look, give it that glass finish. So on the front here, we've got an extra panel. This is an actual other table. This is a smaller coffee table. It's off the same sort of line. You know, most companies do a range of like furniture pieces, and this is the same range as this, and it's just literally the top of the coffee table. Again, that is hollow as well, and we've just added all the components into this piece. So underneath here, you've got everything. You've got the Pandora system, you've got the Pandora motherboard, you've got the power supply. Everything is built into this, and right underneath this table, I'll put some pictures up, is the actual 3-pin kettle plug as well that goes into there, and then you've got a nice switch to go with it as well. So yeah, a few difficulties we had. This screen is a TFT monitor, and unfortunately the viewing angles aren't that great on it. It's okay, you can see it, but you do need to kind of crane your neck a little bit just to see what's going on screen properly. For some reason, Dell, in their infinite wisdom, decided that the viewing angles behind the screen was going to be perfect. So ideally, we would have liked the actual display to be this sort of way and have these controls on this side. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a way around actually converting the software to actually flip the screen. We could only get some of the games to actually flip around. The actual Pandora system would not flip at all for some reason. We've tried and tried. Scott tried, and if you guys are new to this channel, Scott does all the actual software side of things, all the stuff we do. Unfortunately, we just couldn't figure it out, and we kind of ran out of time really to do it. Now, as well as that, the actual system itself has 1200 Mame games. It's running X-Mame. It's quite an old system now. But Pandora, the guys behind this, it's just a cheap Chinese kind of clone of a jammer board, if you know what a jammer board is. And it does the job. It does it absolutely fine. And it's running that X-Mame, so they're all proper games. There's no bootleg crap on here. You know, we've all got Sonic 1 and 2. You know, all the usual arcade games you'd probably get used to, Streets of Rage, you know, Street Fighter 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And yeah, a developer back in the 90s, I think, called SDK, and it's got all the range of, I forget what it's called, King of Fighting or something. It's got every single one of those games, and they made a hell of a lot of them. And they all seem to work. It all maps nicely with the actual controllers, as well as that. Yeah, it works perfectly fine. And the table, I'm sure you'll agree, it looks great, and I think this glass finish just really sets it off. And it turns this, well, essentially cheap table, because it is a cheap table, into something that looks quite premium. And yeah, quite nice finish. Obviously a hell of a lot different to some of the arcade systems you see, and they've got all the, you know, the graphics and stuff like that. This would sit nicely in a home environment, so it's not really for a man cave. It would sit nicely as a practical coffee table, as long as you make sure you use coasters on this, because again, at the end of the day, this is plastic, so it's going to scratch relatively easily if you're not too careful with it, because it is soft plastic, so you will need to use some coasters with it. And there, that is pretty much our arcade coffee table. If you've got any questions, if you want to ask anything more about it, or if you want to ask about the actual build process, it's not too difficult to actually do, as long as you've got a jigsaw, a hammer, screwdriver, and a bit of an imagination. Then you can't really go wrong, really. There might be a few, mistakes along the way. Believe us, we've made so many mistakes building this table. I could be here all day trying to explain those mistakes, and yeah, but that's all about learning, isn't it? That's the learning curve. We're trying to sell this at the moment, get some money back, so we can go on and build another one. Hopefully, we can sell this pretty soon, get some money back, and build a different one. Whether we're going to build a similar one or not, I'm not entirely sure. Definitely going to be making sure we get a different actual screen, an IPS screen, because they've got better viewing angles. But apart from that, the screen's fine. I mean, it's not that big an issue. They are cheap though, these TFT monitors. That was only about 15 quid, that. So, yeah, that's just the way it is, I guess. I guess that's probably just the same with any arcade coffee table. You just really, if you can get on a cheaper screen, as long as you're not too fussed about the viewing angles, and there we go. So hopefully we can sell it soon, and yeah, we can move on to our next build.